You think crypto goes to 10 to 15 trillion this cycle?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I get that really simply, again, in an idiot's way. I just take the market cap of crypto, put it in a log regression channel, and it gets you there. You do the same with Bitcoin, back it out as maybe a Bitcoin dominance of 50%, 40%. You kind of get there. It's like you look at the wallet growth, you kind of get to those numbers. So it's like, yeah, that makes about sense.
So we are today at 2.2 trillion, which means 5 to 7x in growth.
Yeah.
If that really happens, what does it mean for BTC, ETH, and Sol?
Generally speaking, in a normal market, you would see Sol outperform, ETH outperform Bitcoin. That's usually what happens. And so I don't know, because I don't want to give price targets, because you get in that stupid game of people then believe the price targets and then it doesn't happen, and then their vision of their future selves, that Porsche they were going to buy is now ruined and it's my fault because it didn't get to the price. It's all nonsense. But you could probably say that Bitcoin triples, quadruples from here. Something like that. And Solana probably 8 X's plus, that kind of range, and ETH somewhere in the middle.
You have a banana on your sweater. And it's even written the banana zone, right?
It is. It's even written the banana zone. Just in case you didn't.
In case we didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
When you have a tattoo?
Never.
Never. Learn.
That's the lunar.
Learn from your friend's mistake.
Yeah. Never.
Why do you go out there and take the risk of being publicly wrong on something like the banana zone that is everybody's dreams and hope?
Look, it's fucking terrifying. It's really uncomfortable for me to do it. I don't need to do it. Yes, of course, it helps promote a business and blah, blah, blah. But I don't need to take those risks. Most people don't. And I do it because I've been in this space for a long time. I've got more macro experience than pretty much anybody else. And things are so fucked for so many people that we talked about last time, that people can't afford a house. The average millennial is 35 years old. They can't afford a house. They're not having kids. I mean, the rate of having kids is plummeting. The number of people who are not living in their own place, i.e. they have to share a place. All of that stuff is just showing how stressed people are. And asking them to save and make 10% returns on the S&P 500 for the next 20 years just ain't going to cut it. And so I can see how stressed people are. People are getting polarized. And I want to make sure that if I make money out of this, nobody turns around to me and says, well, why didn't we? Oh, it's the insiders. It's that. I did that before, with the crash in 2008, 2012. We all made money and people are like, what the fuck? A, why didn't we know about it? And then it was like, well, why didn't we make money out of it? And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So I have to publicly take a lot of risks by trying to explain to people the opportunity, how to navigate it, whilst also making sure they understand there are no certainties and that I am taking a risk by doing this, and my own money's on the line. In fact, 100% of my liquid net worth and all of the businesses that I've built. It doesn't matter if we get the banana zone to me or not, as long as the adoption of the technology continues, because the value will go up. But the banana zone is that point that it becomes emotional, because you really can make a difference to your financial situation just by doing nothing. It's one of those rare moments. I was speaking to Stephen Bartlett about this. I'm like, some people, if they get this right, they start with enough capital. There's no point even starting a business when you're investing in crypto. You can literally not do any of the shit that you and I do. You could just buy some tokens and go traveling for 5-10 years and come back rich, right? And we just spend so much time around this space. You don't need to do any of it. So yeah, I want to help people. I want them to get to the other side. I want to be able to change people's lives and get out of the trap that everybody's in. Now, I'm not doing that trying to be hubristic or think that I'm some great hero figure. I just don't want somebody to come to me and say, well, why didn't we know?
How could you be wrong on your banana zone thesis?
Look, markets are funny things. They don't always do what you want. And maybe the Harris administration gets in and they crack even further down on crypto, and that slows progress further. And then something else happens negative and it just slows it down. Maybe liquidity doesn't come in, and for some reason we manage to finance the debts because GDP growth is high enough. And so suddenly we get less liquidity than we expected. Doesn't seem to be the case because of China. It's so big and it has such a problem. And Europe is slowing down very fast. So I don't see it, but there's always a probability. So you just have to assess it as you go, because certainly within all of the predictions that I have, many of them don't come to pass. The idea is that overall it comes to pass. So do we get a banana zone now, later? I mean, we talked about this last time. I said, I don't know, but it will come at some point. If it doesn't come, is the space going to collapse? No, you need liquidity to tighten for that to happen. So in which case, it's a holding pattern or a slower grind higher. Okay, I can live with that. A collapse of the market based around liquidity suddenly going up, okay, that's a whole different risk, because then you're wrong in terms of timing. So we'll wait and see.
So hopefully the banana zone is coming. And if we think it's coming, people naturally want to understand how to play it. And you've been very open about your positions. You wrote my core crypto bets, main game Sol, outperformer gaining adoption Sui, memes.
Smoking chicken fish, the church of.
Smoking chicken fish and Dodge, long-term investments, culture, NFTs, still building portfolio, but a mix of Xcopy, Beeple, Punks, Apes, ACK, and many more. I won't have the best bets and not the worst, but I think risk-adjusted is decent. Memes make change in time. then we had Michael Saylor answering, Bitcoin misses you, Raoul. Let's dive into each of your position and understand your thought process. So obviously it's not price targets and this is the best part.
Yeah.
But it's really for people who are, maybe they watch the first episode, or maybe they watch Stephen Bartlett this morning and they're like, okay, now I understand the key concept. I want to take some positions. Why do you think, obviously you choose some bets. What's your kind of framework, right?
Okay. So we start with the don't fuck this up thesis that I talk a lot about, which is the majority of your capital should be in the top 3 to 5 tokens. So what I do personally is I then look at all of the price action between the top 3, Solana, ETH, Bitcoin, look at the cross rates and choose the strongest one. It has been Solana. And I've had that bet for a while and it's been the strongest trend. So that is why I have Solana. Solana has a good community, great UX, good tech, it's fast, it's cheap, and it has had some breakthroughs in chain usage, meme coins being one of them. The ecosystem is deepening and broadening, much like ETH was doing this time last cycle. So, okay, that's a great place to park a larger amount of capital because it's relatively safe.